You ever find yourself flying an alien ship through an asteroid field with two panicked aliens screaming in your ear? No, just me. Yeah, thought so. Anyway, let me tell you how that happened. Sam leans back in the pilot's chair, legs crossed, casually snacking on some chips. He's clearly at ease, a stark contrast to the tension radiating from Salna and Dreel, the alien pilots standing nearby. The ship's interior is sleek and advanced, filled with unfamiliar technology. But Sam doesn't seem fazed. He's acting like he's in his favorite old car. Kazalna clears his throat, trying to hide his unease. His voice shakes slightly as he speaks. Human, this mission is unlike any you've faced. The asteroid field ahead, no ship has survived it. Sam glances at him, chewing slowly. Oh yeah, sounds fun. His tone is calm, as if they're discussing something routine, not a life-threatening situation. He crumples the chip bag and tosses it aside, now paying Salnar a bit more attention. Salnar continues, his eyes darting toward the complicated control panel. This ship requires 12 trained pilots to manage its systems. You're just one. How do you expect tow? Sam grins, cutting him off. One pilot, 12 pilots. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to be me flying this thing. He turns back to the controls, casually pressing buttons, acting like he's done it 100 times before. Dreel, clutching a blinking datapad, steps forward, his voice rising in panic. You don't understand. The systems are delicate. One wrong move, and his words hang in the air, his fear clear. You're overthinking it, Sam replies, waving a hand dismissively. It's like driving a beat-up truck. It's complicated, sure, but if you know how it handles, you're fine. He smiles as if the sophisticated alien ship is nothing more than a quirky old vehicle. Dreel stares at Sam, confused. Truck. What is a truck? Sam chuckles. You know, an old hunk of metal that barely runs, but still gets you where you need to go. Sounds like a ship, doesn't it? He gestures toward the technology around him, making light of the situation. Hexalnar's jaw tightens. He can't comprehend Sam's attitude. His eyes scan the control panel, now filled with blinking lights from Sam's adjustments. This isn't a primitive vehicle human. One mistake, and... Yeah, I get it. Sam interrupts. We blow up. Look, I've been in worse spots with a lot less tech. He adjusts another control, his tone still light and unconcerned. Dreel looks ready to faint, his eyes glued to the display showing the chaotic asteroid field ahead. The asteroid density it's too high. You won't have time to react. Will be. Sam shrugs, glancing at the screen before turning back to Dreel. No room for error, huh? Sounds like my kind of challenge. You ever parallel park on Earth? Salnar and Dreel exchange nervous glances, clearly terrified. Dreel whispers to Salnar, his voice barely audible. We shouldn't be doing this. Sam overhears, grinning. Look, worst case, we go out in a blaze of glory. Best case, I get to say, I told you so. He leans forward, adjusting the controls with the kind of confidence that makes the aliens even more nervous. The ship hums to life, the floor vibrating slightly as the engines power up. Sam is unfazed, as calm as ever. Salnar and Dreel, however, are visibly shaking, clinging to their seats like they're bracing for the worst. As the ship nears the asteroid field, Sam glances over at the aliens one more time. You ready to see why humans don't give up easy? Salnar, his voice trembling, whispers, This is madness. Sam just laughs, eyes focused on the path ahead. Maybe, but you're about to see why we're still standing. And with that, the ship surges forward into the asteroid field. The aliens grip their seats in terror, but Sam's hands are steady on the controls, his expression calm and confident. The ship glides closer to the asteroid field, the vast expanse of space around them narrowing into a swirling chaos of rocks, debris, and danger. Salnar and Dreel are frozen in place, eyes wide as the asteroids loom larger on the display. Their fear is palpable, their breaths shallow and quick. Meanwhile, Sam is completely unfazed, casually adjusting the controls as if he's preparing for a smooth flight. Salnar finally speaks up, his voice strained. This is suicide. No one can navigate through that. Sam barely acknowledges him, his focus still on the control panel. Relax. Just another day at the office, he says, his tone cool and collected. He glances at the asteroid field, then back to the controls, completely at ease despite the impending danger. The ship enters the field, and immediately, rocks the size of small moons begin whizzing past them at terrifying speeds. Selnar lets out a sharp breath, gripping the armrest of his seat so hard his knuckles turn white. Greel stares at the display, visibly shaking as the ship edges deeper into the chaos. Sam, on the other hand, is calm and confident. He tilts his head, tapping the controls with an almost lazy rhythm. These rocks, nothing to worry about. You should see rush hour traffic back on Earth. Now that's chaos. Selnar can barely believe his ears. Nothing to worry about. He echoes, his voice rising in disbelief. Look around. This is madness. Sam shrugs, leaning back slightly as if he's cruising on a peaceful road trip. You worry too much, Selnar. Look, they're just rocks. Dodge left, dodge right, easy peasy. His fingers move swiftly over the controls, making small, precise adjustments that send the ship weaving through the asteroids with surprising grace. The ship narrowly avoids a massive chunk of rock that seems to come out of nowhere. Greel lets out a strangled yelp, but Sam barely flinches. See, what I tell you? No problem, he says with a grin, his voice light, almost teasing. Selnar and Greel exchange horrified glances, their fear only intensifying with every second. The asteroids are moving unpredictably, shifting and colliding at breakneck speed. Every time it looks like the ship will be crushed, Sam effortlessly swerves out of the way, the ship gliding through gaps that seem impossibly small. Greel is practically hyperventilating now. There's no pattern, no way to predict their movements. How are you doing this? Sam glances at him, amused. Instinct, I guess. He turns back to the controls, dodging yet another asteroid with a casual flick of the wrist, and maybe a bit of dumb luck. Selnar shakes his head, unable to comprehend how Sam is so calm. Luck? This isn't luck. You should have crashed 100 times by now. Sam smirks. Guess I'm better than I thought, huh? The ship dips suddenly to avoid a particularly large asteroid, and the alien pilots scream in unison, their voices high-pitched and panicked. Sam, of course, laughs. You guys scream like this every time something flies at you? Geez, you'd never survive on a roller coaster. Greel clutches his chest, clearly on the verge of a meltdown. I can't believe this. We're going to die. We're all going to die. Sam just shakes his head. You really need to chill, Greel. We're doing fine. I've got this. He glances at the asteroids again, noting the speed at which they're moving. See, I'm getting the hang of it. Left, right, easy as pie. Selnar leans forward, his voice low and trembling. No human should be able to do this. It's impossible. Sam grins. Maybe for most humans, sure, but I've got a knack for surviving the impossible. He dodges another asteroid with a quick twist of the controls, the ship sliding smoothly past the danger. The further they go, the more erratic the asteroids become. They slam into each other, sending shards of debris flying in all directions. Selnar's hands are trembling uncontrollably now, and Greel's eyes are practically bulging out of his head. Sam, however, is as calm as ever. You know, he says casually, for an unflyable ship, this thing handles pretty well. I'm starting to think your people just aren't that great at flying. Selnar gapes at him. Not great at flying. Do you have any idea how advanced this ship is? Sam chuckles. Yeah, advanced. But let's be honest, it's like putting a jet engine on a shopping cart. All the bells and whistles, but it still comes down to the pilot, doesn't it? The alien pilots are too terrified to respond. They sit there in stunned silence, their bodies rigid as Sam continues to guide the ship deeper into the asteroid field. Every second feels like it could be their last, but Sam treats it like he's out for a joyride. At one point, a huge asteroid blocks their path, and it seems like there's no way to avoid it. Selnar lets out a terrified gasp, bracing for impact. But at the last second, Sam jerks the controls, sending the ship into a sharp barrel roll, narrowly avoiding the asteroid by mere inches. The ship enters the field, and immediately, rocks the size of small moons begin whizzing past them at terrifying speeds. Selnar lets out a sharp breath, gripping the armrest of his seat so hard his knuckles turn white. Dreel stares at the display, visibly shaking as the ship edges deeper into the chaos. Sam, on the other hand, is calm and confident. He tilts his head, tapping the controls with an almost lazy rhythm. These rocks, nothing to worry about. You should see rush hour traffic back on Earth. Now that's chaos. Selnar can barely believe his ears. Nothing to worry about. He echoes, his voice rising in disbelief. Look around. This is madness. Sam shrugs, leaning back slightly as if he's cruising on a peaceful road trip. You worry too much, Selnar. Look, they're just rocks. Dodge left, dodge right, easy peasy. His fingers move swiftly over the controls, making small, precise adjustments that send the ship weaving through the asteroids with surprising grace. The ship narrowly avoids a massive chunk of rock that seems to come out of nowhere. Greel lets out a strangled yelp, but Sam barely flinches. See, what I tell you? No problem, he says with a grin, his voice light, almost teasing. Selnar and Greel exchange horrified glances, their fear only intensifying with every second. The asteroids are moving unpredictably, shifting and colliding at breakneck speed. Every time it looks like the ship will be crushed, Sam effortlessly swerves out of the way, the ship gliding through gaps that seem impossibly small. Dreel is practically hyperventilating now. There's no pattern, no way to predict their movements. How are you doing this? Sam glances at him, amused. Instinct, I guess. He turns back to the controls, dodging yet another asteroid with a casual flick of the wrist, and maybe a bit of dumb luck. Selnar shakes his head, unable to comprehend how Sam is so calm. Luck? This isn't luck. You should have crashed 100 times by now. Sam smirks. Guess I'm better than I thought, huh? The ship dips suddenly to avoid a particularly large asteroid, and the alien pilots scream in unison, their voices high-pitched and panicked. Sam, of course, laughs. You guys scream like this every time something flies at you? Geez, you'd never survive on a roller coaster. Dreel clutches his chest, clearly on the verge of a meltdown. I can't believe this. We're going to die. We're all going to die. Sam just shakes his head. You really need to chill, Dreel. We're doing fine. I've got this. He glances at the asteroids again, noting the speed at which they're moving. See, I'm getting the hang of it. Left, right, easy as pie. Selnar leans forward, his voice low and trembling. No human should be able to do this. It's impossible. Sam grins. Maybe for most humans, sure, but I've got a knack for surviving the impossible. He dodges another asteroid with a quick twist of the controls, the ship sliding smoothly past the danger. The further they go, the more erratic the asteroids become. They slam into each other, sending shards of debris flying in all directions. Selnar's hands are trembling uncontrollably now, and Greel's eyes are practically bulging out of his head. Sam, however, is as calm as ever. You know, he says casually, for an unflyable ship, this thing handles pretty well. I'm starting to think your people just aren't that great at flying. Selnar gapes at him. Not great at flying. Do you have any idea how advanced this ship is? Sam chuckles. Yeah, advanced. But let's be honest, it's like putting a jet engine on a shopping cart. All the bells and whistles, but it still comes down to the pilot, doesn't it? The alien pilots are too terrified to respond. They sit there in stunned silence, their bodies rigid as Sam continues to guide the ship deeper into the asteroid field. Every second feels like it could be their last, but Sam treats it like he's out for a joyride. At one point, a huge asteroid blocks their path, and it seems like there's no way to avoid it. Selnar lets out a terrified gasp, bracing for impact. But at the last second, Sam jerks the controls, sending the ship into a sharp barrel roll, narrowly avoiding the asteroid by mere inches. Solnar's heart feels like it might burst out of his chest. How? How did you? Sam laughs, patting the control panel like it's an old friend. Told you, piece of cake. As the ship continues to maneuver deeper into the asteroid field, the environment grows more chaotic. The asteroids are moving faster now, crashing into one another with violent force. Sam, however, remains cool and collected, steering the ship with the same casual confidence as before. Solnar and Reel are less composed, gripping their seats and bracing themselves for the worst. Without warning, a loud alarm blares through the cockpit. Reel's eyes dart to the control panel, panic flooding his features. We've lost the autopilot system. He shrieks, his voice high-pitched with fear. Sam barely glances at him, rolling his eyes. Autopilot? Overrated. You've got me, remember? Solnar looks like he's about to pass out. The autopilot is what was keeping us aligned. Without it, there's no chance. Sam cuts him off, waving a hand dismissively. No chance. Come on, give me a little credit. You guys and your fancy gadgets. Humans have been flying without autopilot for centuries. He grips the controls with a little more focus, but his face remains relaxed. I've got this under control. The ship shudders as it dodges another asteroid, the impact of the nearby collision sending vibrations through the hull. Reel lets out a whimper, his eyes squeezed shut as though that might somehow protect him. Sam looks over at him and shakes his head, a smirk playing on his lips. You ever consider relaxing, Reel? We're still in one piece, aren't we? Reel cracks open one eye, looking around nervously. For now, but I don't see how much longer we can. Suddenly, the ship's power flickers and the lights dim. The low hum of the engine sputters and a second alarm goes off. Solnar frantically taps the controls, his voice shaking. We're losing power. This field is too unstable. It's interfering with the systems. Sam raises an eyebrow, unimpressed. So, we're flying blind, huh? Solnar turns to him, eyes wide. Yes, the ship's sensors are offline. We won't know what's coming next. Sam leans forward in his chair, clearly amused. Flying blind? Well, this just got interesting. Uriel stares at him in horror. Interesting? We're going to crash. We don't have the technology to navigate without sensors. Sam shrugs, his hands steady on the controls. You don't need sensors when you've got good instincts. Just keep your eyes open and don't blink. Easy. The ship jerks violently as another asteroid comes within inches of the hull. Solnar grabs the edge of his seat, his voice barely audible. No one's ever survived this long without a fully operational ship. We're doomed. Sam laughs. Doomed? Nah, we've got plenty of time before things get that bad. Just as he finishes speaking, the ship's display flashes a new warning. Greel looks at it, his face going pale. Oh no! There are living creatures in this field. Massive ones. Space-dwelling predators. They thrive in the asteroid belt. Sam raises an eyebrow. Space predators. Now we're talking. Solnar gasps, his voice full of panic. These creatures can destroy ships without a second thought. They're attracted to movement and in our weakened state. Sam interrupts him, still calm. Attracted to movement, huh? Well, guess we'll have to move faster, won't we? Uriel stammers, faster? The ship can't. Before he can finish, Sam pushes the throttle, sending the ship accelerating through the field. The engines roar in protest, but the ship surges forward, weaving in and out of the asteroids with startling precision. Solnar and Reel are thrown back in their seats, gripping the armrests for dear life. There we go, Sam says, a satisfied grin on his face. Now we're cooking. The ship zooms past an enormous creature, its massive, glowing eyes following their path. Reel lets out a panicked cry, pointing frantically. It's following us. Sam glances at the creature, unbothered. Yeah, I see it. Big guy, isn't he? Let's hope he's not hungry. Solnar is barely holding it together, his voice trembling. If it catches us. It won't. Sam cuts him off. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. The ship darts through the asteroids, the massive creature closing in behind them. Sam's grip on the controls tightens as he maneuvers the ship in ways that defy all logic. At one point, they squeeze through a gap barely big enough for the ship to fit, the edges of the asteroid grazing the hull. Greel's voice is a high-pitched squeak. That was too close. Sam chuckles. Too close. Nah, just right. As the creature gets dangerously close, Sam suddenly jerks the controls to the right, sending the ship into a spiraling dive through a cluster of smaller asteroids. The creature struggles to follow, slamming into one of the asteroids with a bone-rattling crash. Sam smirks. Told you he wouldn't catch us. Xalna and Greel are too stunned to speak. The ship straightens out, speeding through the field, now with fewer obstacles in sight. Sam glances back at them, his tone light. See, told you, nothing to worry about. Xalna shakes his head, his voice a whisper. How are you doing this? No one should be able to handle these conditions. It's impossible. Sam grins. Impossible's just another word for give it a shot. You aliens really need to work on your confidence. The ship continues forward, leaving the worst of the asteroid field behind. Xalna and Greel are left in stunned silence, still processing what just happened. Meanwhile, Sam's expression remains the same, calm, confident, and ready for whatever comes next. The ship rockets forward, leaving the massive space creature far behind, but Sam's expression becomes slightly more serious as the asteroid field thickens again. The rocks are moving faster now, spinning wildly, colliding with each other, and breaking into unpredictable shards. The ship is surrounded by danger at every turn, and the tension inside the cockpit is palpable. Sam's eyes narrow as he grips the controls. All right, now we're getting to the fun part. Xalna and Greel are beyond terrified. Their faces are pale, and they're barely holding it together as the ship dodges rock after rock. Greel's voice is shaky, his eyes wide with fear. Fun part? This is insane. The field's too dense, we can't make it through. Sam doesn't respond immediately, focused on weaving the ship between asteroids with sharp, precise movements. His breathing is steady, his hands firm on the controls, but there's no mistaking the intensity in his eyes. Finally, he glances at Greel. You want to make it through? And stop panicking and trust me. I haven't crashed us yet, have I? Greel clutches his seat tighter, unable to speak. Xalna, on the other hand, leans forward, his voice trembling. The asteroid density is increasing. If we take a direct hit. We won't, Sam says firmly, cutting him off. His tone is calm, but there's a sense of finality to his words. He's fully in control, and despite the chaos around them, it's clear he has no intention of letting anything go wrong. The ship dips sharply to avoid a massive asteroid, then swerves back up in a smooth arc. Xalna lets out a small gasp, but Sam doesn't even blink. His focus is razor-sharp now, the casual humor from earlier replaced by quiet determination. Another warning flashes on the ship's display, but this time, Sam doesn't even look at it. Let me guess, he mutters, half to himself. Engines overheating, shields weakening? Yeah, we'll push through. Xalna's hands shake as he checks the readings. The systems are being pushed to their limits. The engines. They're fine. Sam finishes, his voice steady. They'll hold, just hang tight. The ship barrels forward, narrowly dodging asteroid after asteroid, the space around them becoming more chaotic with every passing second. Massive chunks of rock slam into each other, sending debris flying in all directions. Sam swerves left, right, up, and down, navigating the chaos with impossible precision. Greel's breathing is rapid, his knuckles white as he grips the armrests. I don't understand how you're doing this. This ship shouldn't be able to. Do what? Sam interrupts, a slight grin creeping onto his face. Fly. You just have to know how to talk to it. As if to prove his point, Sam twists the controls, sending the ship into a tight spin that miraculously avoids a cluster of smaller asteroids. The aliens are thrown against their seats, Greel letting out a yelp, but Sam barely flinches. The ship straightens out, and for a moment, it seems like they might actually make it through. But just then, the biggest asteroid they've seen yet comes into view. It's massive, almost planet-sized, and it's moving directly toward them. Xolnar's voice is barely a whisper. We can't avoid that. It's too big. Sam's eyes narrow, his grip tightening on the controls. We don't need to avoid it. Reel stares at him horrified. What do you mean? It'll destroy us. Sam's grin returns, but this time it's sharper, more focused. Not if we go through it. Xolnar's jaw drops. Through it? You can't be serious. Sam glances at him, his expression confident and determined. Dead serious. That's our only shot. Hold on to something. Without waiting for a response, Sam pushes the throttle forward, sending the ship speeding toward the massive asteroid. The alien pilots scream in terror, but Sam doesn't waver. His hands are steady on the controls as the ship accelerates, racing toward the looming rock. The asteroid's surface is rough, uneven, and full of jagged edges, but Sam keeps his eyes locked on a narrow gap that appears just ahead. A small opening, barely wide enough for the ship to fit through. Reel's voice is panicked. We won't make it. That gap is too small. Sam's grin widens. Watch me. The ship hurtles toward the gap, and for a moment, it seems impossible. The asteroid is so close now. The surface is rough and deadly, but Sam doesn't hesitate. He pulls the ship up at the last second, twisting it just enough to squeeze through the gap. The ship scrapes against the asteroid, sparks flying, but it makes it through in one piece. Salnar and Reel are too stunned to speak. They sit frozen in their seats, eyes wide, as the ship emerges from the other side of the asteroid, now in the clear. Sam exhales slowly, his hands relaxing on the controls. Told you we'd make it. The alien pilots remain silent for a moment, still processing what just happened. Then slowly, Reel manages to find his voice. How did you know we'd fit through that? Sam leans back in his seat, his grin returning. Didn't, just took a shot. Xolnar stares at him in disbelief. You risked our lives on a guess. Sam shrugs, unfazed. Guess? Nah, I'd call it a calculated risk. The ship cruises forward, finally freed from the asteroid field. The worst is behind them, and the open expanse of space stretches out ahead. Sam glances over at the alien pilots, a mischievous glint in his eyes. See, I told you it'd be fine. Xolnar and Reel exchange a glance, still shaken but unable to deny the results. Sam saved them, against all odds, with nothing but skill and nerve. As they drift away from the chaos, Sam lets out a satisfied sigh. All right, who's up for a snack? All that flying worked up an appetite. The ship sails smoothly through the vast open space, the chaotic asteroid field finally behind them. The silence in the cockpit is almost surreal compared to the panic and chaos just moments before. Sam sits back, one arm draped lazily over the control panel, a small smile on his face. The alien pilots, Salnar and Reel, are still frozen, wide-eyed, and pale from the ordeal. For a long moment, no one speaks. Then Reel, his voice hoarse, manages to break the silence. We made it. Well, alive. Sam glances over at him with a casual grin. Yup, told you, no big deal. Xolnar finally releases the death grip he had on his seat, his fingers stiff and trembling. He exhales shakily, still trying to process what just happened. I don't understand. How did we survive that? That should have been impossible. Sam leans back, folding his arms behind his head. You aliens and that word. Impossible. He chuckles softly, shaking his head. Maybe you just needed a human touch. Reel turns to Xolnar, his voice low and filled with awe. He flew that ship like it was nothing. No one's ever done that before. Maybe we underestimated the humans. Salnar slowly nods, still in disbelief. Maybe we did. Sam, clearly enjoying their reactions, throws his feet up on the console, stretching out comfortably. Don't worry about it too much. It's just what we do. Survive the impossible, make it look easy, and walk away with a good story to tell. The ship's console beeps, signaling they've cleared the danger zone. Xolnar looks at the display, still stunned. We're in the clear. I can't believe it. Sam smirks. Believe it. You'll have a nice story to tell your friends back home. Just make sure to give me some credit." Jareel, still pale but regaining some of his composure, looks at Sam in awe. "You're not like other humans, are you?" Sam shrugs, his grin widening. "Depends who you ask. But yeah, most humans aren't exactly flying ships through asteroid fields for fun." He pauses for a moment, then adds, "But if they were, I bet they'd do all right." Talnar finally seems to relax, though his face is still etched with disbelief. "I don't know how to thank you. We wouldn't have made it without you." Sam waves him off. "No need for thanks. Like I said, just another day for me." Jareel stares at him, still trying to wrap his head around everything. "What kind of planet produces people like you?" Sam chuckles softly, his voice light. "The kind where every day's an adventure. You'd love it." For the first time, Talnar allows himself to smile, a small, tentative smile that hints at newfound respect. "I'm starting to understand why your species has a reputation for resilience." Sam grins, but this time it's more relaxed and genuine. "Yeah, well, you could say we've had a lot of practice." As the ship continues its steady course away from the asteroid field, the tension finally melts away. Sam leans back, stretching with a satisfied sigh. "Well, that was fun, but all that near-death stuff sure works up an appetite." Talnar and Jareel look at him in disbelief, as if they can't believe he's already back to making jokes. But that's just Sam, never letting the weight of the situation get to him. He gives them a wink, then gestures to a small compartment on the ship's console. "So, what do you guys eat around here? I could go for a snack." The aliens exchange a glance, and though they're still in shock, they can't help but chuckle. Jareel shakes his head, smiling despite himself. "You really are something else, human." Sam grins, leaning forward. "Yeah, but you love me for it." With the asteroid field behind them and a newfound respect shared between them, the ship cruises steadily into the vastness of space. Sam, true to his nature, is already thinking about the next challenge, while Talnar and Jareel sit in awe, forever changed by the human who defied the odds and flew through the impossible with a smile on his face. As the ship safely cruises away from the asteroid field, Sam leans back, his voice carrying the same relaxed humor. "Well, that was a good warm-up. Wonder what kind of craziness I'll get into next. Whatever it is, I'll probably need a snack afterward."